Welcome, 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 beautiful people. Welcome back to Zipmouth Motivation Podcast or Zipmouth Motivation Show, whichever one makes you feel comfortable at this moment. But I just want to welcome you all to the show. This is going to be an amazing show. I have a guest. His name is Bill, and he has a lot to talk about that could support you and help you. And y'all know I don't like to tell people's business, so I would prefer him introduce himself and tell you what he does, where he's from, and then we'll dig into the conversation. And I hope you all share this. Please share, like, subscribe. I always forget to say that, so y'all know how it is. Y'all know, like, I'm just a free spirit. Like, share, and subscribe. Definitely connect with Bill once the show is over. Hi, Bill. How you doing?
Oh my goodness, I have been waiting to talk to you all day.
Yeah,
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. Well, tell the people where you're from and what you do.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me. My name is Bill Goodwin. I am a leadership coach, professional speaker, and I currently live in the great state of Minnesota. And at least it's the great state of Minnesota this time of the year. Not sure when this is airing, but at least the time when we're recording it, it's beautiful weather here. Not quite as hot as in Tampa right now, but I don't often say that about Minnesota come January. So I prefer to be down in your neck of the woods then. But yeah, I live in Minnesota, and I love to add value to people and develop and equip leaders to reach their full potential, because everyone deserves to be led well.
Absolutely. I love that. So when I got the email and I that you would be on the show, I was reading about you, and then I did a little, like a little digging. And I actually want to get right into the story because I'm so interested about at 28 years old, you died.
That's right.
And then you came back. What was that moment like for you?
Boy, I love sharing about this moment. The date was November 23rd, 1999, and I was 28 years old, as you said. So you do the math. I'm 54 today. People are trying to add up how old is he now? Yeah, so just over 25 years ago, I had a severe asthma attack, and that started from me taking my dog at the time to the groomers on a Tuesday, 2 days before Thanksgiving. And I had grown up with allergies and some asthma, but I didn't typically go into the groomers. And so that day I did, and I was in there a little bit longer than I had expected. And so my lungs began to become constricted, and I went out to my car, grabbed an inhaler, and was not getting any relief. So I panicked a little bit, and I drove about a mile home, where I knew that I could grab my solution and my nebulizer machine. Maybe some listeners are identifying with this, and I was gasping for air. And so I ended up, at the time, my daughter was home from school just before Thanksgiving on a Thanksgiving break. She was in 7th grade at the time, and she called 911 for me, and she saved my life, literally. And as the paramedics came in, I was panicked. I was not able to take in air. I was not able to release the air that I had. And they gave me a mask with a machine to put over my nose and mouth. And within a very short time, I blacked out. And it was over the next course of moments. I don't remember being in the ambulance. I don't remember initially being in the ER. But what did happen was I woke up 9.5 hours later, after they had resuscitated me and put me in a medical-induced coma, and I woke up in ICU, intubated with a trach tube down my throat, and I had quite an experience during that time. But yeah, so I coded in the ER, and and they resuscitated me. I'm so grateful for that. I often say November 23rd, 1999 should have been on my tombstone. I shouldn't be here today.
Right.
And here I am all these years later, being able to share my story, what I experienced in that time frame when I coded, and then since then I've had a significant life change as a result of that encounter.
Right. How has because I know you mentioned in the email that your perspective on life changed. How did that change you?
Yeah, my goodness, it changed me in so many ways. Um, I am a person of faith. I was a person of faith prior to this incident happening. But it changed me in such a way where we often say, we're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Mm.
There's no guarantee that even today isn't our last day. We never know. But how it changed me was I realized, wow, I've been given a second chance. And
Right.
in the realization of that, I came to the place of I need to make my life count. You're 28 years old. I was at the time. You think you're invincible, and just like that, my life could have been over.
Right.
And I've been given a second chance, and so I've been very intentional over
Mhm.
these last 20 plus years to say, how do I make my life count? And so as a result of that, I created a framework I call priority living. And
Right.
priority living is made up of 7 pillars that I'm intentional to live those 7 pillars, and so that I can make my life count. And at the 25-year mark of this encounter, this is no longer theory. It's actually something I've been living. And so I've come to the realization, why should I keep it to myself? I want to share this with others so they
Absolutely.
can consider these 7 pillars possibly for their life. And so they can make their life count.
Absolutely. So when you talk about the priority living framework with 7 pillars, someone listening right now who feels like it's just passing them by, like life is just passing them by. But where do they start? Like where do they start?
Yeah, that's such a great question because today is a perfect day to start. It doesn't matter what your past has been. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter your financial situation or relational situation. Any of us, all of us, can start today in making our life count. So you start, as far as my pillars go, the first one is purpose. The first pillar is purpose. And in my book, in the framework, I talk about 10 questions to help you clarify your purpose. And there's also a link to a online assessment that takes people through. It's called the Purpose Factor, and it helps them to have greater clarity on their purpose, because purpose gives us direction in life. Once we
Absolutely.
clarify the direction of our life, then we can make the most of our life. And I love the quote by famous quote by Mark Twain. He once said that the 2 greatest days of your life are the day you were born and the day you discover why you were born. And so that's all about purpose, isn't it? And so I love to help people find purpose, because for me, I've gotten clarity on my purpose, and it's given me direction in life. Matter of fact, I'll just add one more thing there to purpose, and that is, every person, whether they realize it or not, are wondering 3 questions. Do I matter? Is what I'm doing matter? Or does
Right.
what I'm doing matter? And the third one is, what's next? What's next?
Absolutely.
Your now leads to your next. So whatever you've gone through in the past, I love listening to Ed Milet. I've read his book, and he talks about how you're most positioned to help the person you once were. So that gives us purpose in life, and helps us to know kind of, hey, what's next for me? And so that's where I encourage people to start, is getting clarity on your purpose.
Yes, I love how you said, I had to write it down. Your now leads to your next. I love how you said that. That was like a punchline. So
That's right.
definitely
That's right.
lead to your next. If I was a person and I'm living on autopilot, how could this book support me?
Oh, it can support you in so many ways because the second pillar is the pillar of grow. And
Right.
most people accept their lives instead of leading their life. And
Right.
so you get off of autopilot when you stop just accepting life and getting up and having just another day. The day after day, just to repeat. Interesting enough, I was born on February 2nd, which here in the United States we call it Groundhog Day. Well,
Right.
there was a movie years ago with Bill Murray called Groundhog Day. It was just a repeat of the same day over and over and over. And I believe that some people are living that, but
Right.
you get off of autopilot and you get off of being stuck when you
Mhm.
begin to grow yourself. And you
Absolutely.
have to know yourself to grow yourself. So you become a person who unpacks and discovers your purpose. I love to help people do that. Then you begin to grow yourself. And as we grow ourselves, you see, we can't give away what we don't have. So we can get off autopilot and begin making the most of our life, or I say living a priority living life when we are growing ourselves every day. We find a way to grow ourselves. I learned that back when I was 16, maybe 17 years old. I have an uncle who was a small business owner and with my aunt, and he took me under his wing. He taught me about personal development, personal growth. He
Mhm.
introduced me to Zig Ziglar and other motivational people way back in the 80s. And I began to learn how to set goals. I began to learn how to grow myself, how to be intentional about becoming a better version of myself every day. And that gets you off of living a life of autopilot. It gets you a life that is meaningful and impactful and actually just a great adventure way to live.
Absolutely. And if someone wanted to purchase this book, where would they find this book at?
Yeah, so my book will be available on Amazon. They can get it through my website, which is PriorityLivingBook.com. My company is my leadership development company is called Priority Living Consulting Group, and that website is PriorityLivingCG.com. But
Um,
you can simply go to PriorityLivingBook.com. It'll take you to where you can find the link that'll take
right.
you to Amazon. The book is titled Priority Living: 7 Pillars to Make Your Life Count. And super excited about it. Again, not sure when this episode will drop, but it should be available the end of September, beginning of October.
Okay.
They're on Amazon, and love to have people get it to be able to experience a more impactful life.
Absolutely. So you coach leaders and teams for 30 years. What's the biggest aha moment you've seen when someone finally understands what leadership really means?
Oh, I love that. You can look up leadership on Google or Chat GPT, whatever. And it's interesting. I believe that the best definition I've ever heard of leadership is actually from my mentor, who's known as the number one leadership expert in the world, author and speaker John C. Maxwell. Dr. Maxwell has written 93 books on leadership. He's written more on leadership than any other person that's ever lived. And his definition that I've adopted into my life for leadership is simply this. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Leadership, yeah, all right, good. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So some people say, well, I'm not a leader. We're like, well, do you have influence? Are you a
Right.
parent? You have influence on your children. Do you have people in your community or in your workplace that you influence? You
Right.
can look on the playground with a group of children. None of them have titles. None of them have been given supervisor, boss, manager, entrepreneur yet. But
Right.
you can watch children on a playground and you will see who the leader is. The one that says, okay, let's play tag. And everyone says, okay, yeah, let's play tag. What are they doing? They're leading the others. Why? They have built trust. They have built the ability to influence others into the game they're going to play on the playground. And therefore, we see leadership on display.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that though. Leadership is like it's all influence. And sometimes people feel like I'm not a leader, but they really are leaders, because people follow them, even if it's to something bad, like they are following them into things. Um, you mentioned
That's a
John.
really good. I'm sorry. That's a really
No,
good
no, go
point.
ahead.
I'm just sorry to interrupt you there. When we say leadership is influence, you touched on it there. That can go either way. So we
Absolutely.
don't often like to realize it, but you've got people who have led people in a very awful negative way. You got Adolf Hitler, you got Saddam Hussein, you got these dictators, these leaders. You got people that have had influence in a negative way. Well, that's still leadership,
Right.
and but we want to be people of value who
Yes.
value people and add value to people and lead people in a positive way and use our influence for good rather than evil.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned John C. Maxwell. What was one lesson from him that changed you in how you lead?
Oh my goodness. Where do I begin? Because I continue to be amazed by the leadership principles that John Maxwell has brought to the world. And I love when he says that as a communicator, he likes to take complicated things and make them accessible to others. In other words, he says, I like to take the cookies off the top shelf and bring them down to the bottom shelf so that everyone has the opportunity to grow in leadership. So let me just think here for a moment. I mean, there's so many lessons I've learned from, I call him Papa John. I would say that, one of the many, many lessons, I don't know if it's the top one, but it's one of the lessons I've learned from him is, again, it's the being intentional is the only way that we grow. So it's a reinforcement actually of what my uncle taught me many years ago when I was a teenager. John Maxwell says that people grow older naturally, but we don't grow better unless we are intentional.
Abs-
And that's in one of his books called The 15 Laws of Growth. And the first law is the law of intentionality, that we have to be intentional if we're going to grow ourselves. So for me, I'm intentional about reading books, listening to podcasts, and having mentors in my life and going to conferences and events where I'm going to continue to grow myself
Mhm.
because that's the only way I'm going to evolve. Matter of fact, another quote from John Maxwell is this one. I love it. The only guarantee that tomorrow will be better is if we're growing ourselves today. So that's some of the many lessons that I've learned from John Maxwell.
I love that. And I love all the quotes. I'm a wordy person. So I love words. I think words are powerful no matter what. Whoever is saying them, they don't understand how
Hmm.
powerful words are. How do you take the wisdom and make it practical for everyday people, not just like CEOs or executives? And I heard when you said, like John Maxwell takes the cookie from the top and he brings it down. So how do you do that?
Yeah, how do I do that? I do that often with telling stories. I
Mm.
believe that we love to learn from other people's stories. And matter of fact, I got a lot of mistakes, so I can share my mistakes and the ways that I have learned things along the way that has helped me to grow in my own leadership and my leadership roles that I've had the privilege to have over the years. And so I like to help others by giving them pictures through words, like you just said. So that's the way we tell stories, and it makes it very applicable for people to grow and learn themselves.
Absolutely. And I think it's very important because a lot of times, especially like when you're doing podcasts and people see, they're like, oh, Bill Goodwin, I don't know. I don't know about that. He probably talking over my head. I love when people are able to, talk to a bigger crowd, but then talk to a crowd that might not be on that level of even knowing what intentional means, to be honest with you, because
Yes,
the
sure.
youth need that, like the youth need that, mid adults need that, adults need that. Everybody
Hmm.
needs, different levels of conversation.
Yes. And I'll also add another thing that I love to do, whether it's in a speaking environment or doing workshops or seminars, is I love to have hands-on experience
Mm,
because when we do exercises together, we begin to learn even better. So actually, back to my book, I have 7 chapters on the 7 pillars. Then I have
Right.
3 chapters on how to implement the pillars in your life. And so one of those chapters is all on setting priorities. If the book is
Mm,
called Priority Living, I should give some instruction on how we set priorities. And I won't give it all away. You can read the book to find out how we do it. But basically, I invite people as they're reading the book to put the book down, and if they can, go to the kitchen and get a paper plate. And then in the rest of that chapter, I give them an exercise to do called What's on Your Plate. And it's a
mm,
way that we can look at our life, assess our life and our schedule and our activities, and begin to prioritize our life by looking at what's on our plate. And so I take people through an exercise there in that chapter of the book. But I do that for groups when I have keynote speaking or trainings that I do, and it helps people to really put some hands on. I think is another great way to help people of all levels be able to make these leadership principles applicable and take away to their life.
absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of my listeners, they have big dreams, but a lot of them are also paralyzed by fear. What's your best advice for taking the bold first step?
Yeah. Well, this may sound well, you know my heart. We now are friends. We've been having this great conversation. So you get my heart as I say this. I think the first step is when we have fear. I lovingly say we need to get over ourselves, because that fear is often we're too self-consumed about, well, what are people going to think, or what if I fail or
Right.
whatever. But we're typically never really good the first time. So we have to. The first time I tried to walk, I don't remember it, but I'm sure, like most children, the first time I tried to walk, I fell down, but I got
Right.
back up. And
Absolutely.
even that first step or two, parents are like, good job, good job, good job. What does that do? That encouragement helps you to get back up and try again. The first time I tried to ride a bike, I didn't do so well. I skinned my knee, but you get back up and you try again. So when we have fear, I think fear, I've heard the acrostic, you may have seen it before. Fear is simply false evidence appearing real. So we think it's going to be worse off than it might be, but that's where we just have to step up and have courage and do it anyway. John Wayne, I probably will botch this quote, but he made a quote where he said, "Courage is settling up and riding even in the face of fear," or something like that. I probably messed up that quote, but that's
Okay.
that's what
You
that's
got
what
it.
courage actually is. We saddle up even in the midst of fear, and we take a step forward, and then we look back and we go, well, that wasn't so bad.
Absolutely.
A story to that was, I've had a fear of heights, as many people do, and so a few years ago, my mom was turning 80 years old, and she lives in Arizona. My parents live in Arizona, and on the phone call, my mom said, I was thinking about my 80th birthday. I've always wanted to go skydiving, and I thought, oh man, you are so cool, Mom. You're going to go skydiving at 80, and I encouraged her. I said, I think you should do it. That'd be amazing.
Right.
And then get this. She said, will you go with me? And that changes the situation, doesn't it? So
Right.
I thought about it, and then I agreed. And so on my mom's 80th birthday, we went skydiving together. My niece went as well, and 12,000 feet with a 7,000 feet free fall out of that plane to a 5,000 feet glide. That was the most peaceful thing ever. And I realized, why was I so afraid? Obviously, there's risk involved. Okay, that's why there's fear. But
Absolutely.
but it
Right.
but it truly is the fear of the unknown. But I can
Mm,
tell you, and others that have skydived, I'm sure that are listening are nodding right now. They're going, absolutely. The fear is just before you get out of the plane. But once you get out of the plane and you experience how exhilarating and amazing it is to skydive, and thankfully I had a tandem guy that was experienced with me. Side note, he asked me on the way up. He said, "I saw your weight on the sheet, but I honestly I can't remember how much do you weigh." And I told him, and he goes, "Oh boy, we're coming in hot." So that didn't really encourage me too much, but we had a good laugh. But once you get over the fear of getting out of the plane, you experience the incredible bliss that comes. And so that's how it is with any kind of fear. We got to press through and get to the other side and go, maybe that wasn't as bad as I thought it was, because it was simply false evidence appearing real to me.
Wow. I can understand that. I am I told you previously, like they call me Zip because I don't talk much. But it's because I'm very shy. So
Yeah.
for me to get on the internet and then talk a
Yeah.
lot all the time and to get on the radio and then talk, it takes that fear away from me. Even though people are like, oh, you do so good, you don't seem like you're shy. I am very, very shy. So like
Hmm.
extremely shy, which is a fear. It's just a fear. It's not like, like it's fear wrapped up in a bow tie is what someone told me. They're like, you say you shy,
Hmm.
but you're just afraid of, and I don't think I'm afraid of people. I think it's because I'm very honest and I'm very blunt. And sometimes
Yeah.
people get me wrong. It's not meant for wrong. It's like meant like it's the truth. The truth is the truth. Um,
Hmm.
and just wrapping up for the listeners who want to go deeper with the framework, and if they want you to coach them in any kind of way, how could they contact you? Through your website, or how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'll give you several ways you can reach me. For those that are on LinkedIn, you can just search my name, Bill Goodwin. You'll see me there, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook for Facebook users. Again, under my name, Bill Goodwin. Find me there, and then also through my business website, which is PriorityLivingCG.com. That stands for consulting group. PriorityLivingCG.com, and you can send me an email at that. It's bill@PriorityLivingCG.com. Or you can go to the book website, which is PriorityLivingBook.com. And those would be some of the easiest ways to find me. And I definitely would love to talk with somebody who's maybe you're looking for a keynote speaker. I speak on a variety of leadership topics. I speak on purpose. I speak on a variety of things, as well as I do workshops for teams, team building things. I do it virtually as well as in person. Love to travel a lot, so I'd love to come to you. And then I also do coaching online. I do coaching cohorts as well as one-on-one coaching. And so reach out to me. I'd love to tell you more about different options and packages so that I can help you get from where you are to where you want to be and help you become a better version of yourself. So that's what I'm all about, and love to connect with the listeners that have tuned in and have stayed with us this whole time.
Absolutely. So you all definitely contact Bill, especially get the book Priority Living, the Seven Pillars. Correct? I did that right, right?
Yep, yep.
Definitely get that book. Tap into the website. When you go into the description, you'll see his websites there, and you can just click on those links if possible. Go ahead and connect with him. If there is something that you want him to speak more on, I'm sure he has more than enough time to speak to you on a one-on-one basis. Just make sure you book your sessions. That's it. Book your
Absolutely.
sessions. So here on Zipmouth Motivation, I love for the guests to leave the audience with something powerful, just a thought or maybe just a connection. What is something that you would like to leave the audience with?
Well, I love to encourage the audience today with these words that, for me, I died and was resuscitated in order to learn how to fully live. But the truth is, you don't have to die, and I hope that you don't die in order to find out how to truly live. I hope that you can take it from me, a dude who died on how to live. And so, through the seven pillars that I want to share with you, it can add value to your life. So, whatever age demographic you're in, or whatever economic situation, or whatever your past is, it doesn't matter. Really, the rest of your life can be the best of your life, and I firmly believe that. And I'd love to come alongside and be your greatest cheerleader and support you in making your life count. So, what a joy to be with you today. You are a bright light,
Thank
and
you.
I'm just really honored to be here with you and your listeners today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And as usual, listeners, I love you all. I respect you. Thank you for always listening and tuning in. Please, please, please reach out to Bill. Please get that book. I think that book is going to be amazing, especially in a transformation of life. There's going to be some good things in there. And share this podcast with someone else. Like, share, subscribe. If you are on 101.5 Indie Radio and you're listening in, please go to my main page and get his links. If you don't see the links, you can always DM me. I'm a real person and I really connect with people. So I love y'all. Thank you all for tuning in and have a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you may be.
Yeah.